Very good morning, students. Before getting into today's session, we'll just check it out. What are the topics we have been covered into the previous session? We have started a new chapter in a previous session, which we have already covered. What is function overloading, syntax with an example, and also introduction part for a function overloading. And also we have seen the advantages and the disadvantages of function overloading. We'll start our today's session by starting what is a friend function. Before knowing what is friend function, let us see why we are going to use a friend function. The concept behind the encapsulation and the data hiding restricts the non-member functions for accessing the private member of a classes. The best way to access a private data members by a non-member function is to change a private data members to a public. But it is violates the whole concept of data handling and encapsulation. To solve this problem, our friend functions are used. When we can access private or protect member, it is required to allow the function outside a class to access and manipulate the private members of the class. In C++, this is achieved by using the concept of friend. The friend comes in three forms. The friend comes in the three forms: friend function, number one, friend function, number two, member function of other class as a friend, number three, friend class. The friend function is non-member function, that is guaranteed access to the private and protect member of a classes. Once again, I repeat it. The friend function is a non-member function that is guaranteed to access the private and protect member of a class. Friend function prototype should be placed inside the class. The friend function prototype should be placed inside the class definition. Can be anywhere inside the class definition. Friend function definition should be outside the class scope. Class scope. Even though the prototype of friend function appear in the class definition, friends are not a member function. Friends are not a member function. We simply declare the function within a class by, by prefixing the declaration with the keyword called as a friend. The major difference between a member function and friend function is that the member is accessed through the objects. Members is accessed through the object, while friend function require an object to pass a parameter. Once again, I repeat it. The major difference between the member function and the friend function is that the member function is accessed through the object. Member function is accessed through the object, while friend function require an object to be passed as a parameter. To be passed as a parameter. This is a major difference between the member function and the friend function. After seeing a small description of a friend function, we'll see the definition of friend function. The major thing is friend function is a non-member function. Friend function is a non-member function of a class which can access the private and the protect member of a classes from one function to the another function. This is a major use why we are going to use the friend functions. Let us see what is the characteristics or features of friend function. A function name preceded by a keyword called as a friend. The first one is the function name is preceded by the keyword called as a friend. F-R-E-N-D. Friend is a keyword to declare a friend function. The scope of a friend function is not limited to the class in which it has been declared. The scope of the friend is not limited to the class in which it has been declared. Since it is not in the scope of a class, it cannot be invoked using an object of a class. Because the friend is a non-member function, so we cannot access the function by using an object of a class. It invokes like a normal function. It invokes like a normal function. It can be declared either in the public or private, or in a part in any of the class part. It takes an object as an argument. It takes an object as an argument. It never takes an object to access. It takes as an object as a parameters. Unlikely the member function, it cannot access a class members directly. However, it can use the object and dot operator with each member function name to access both the private and the public. Now we'll see the major key parts of features of friend function. A friend function is a non-member function of a class. It can access the private and protect member data member functions of a class. It not allowed by access specifier. It is not allowed by the access specifier. It is declared as a keyword as a friend. While defining a friend function, no need use of scope resolutor operator. Why? Because we can directly access like a normal function by using a friend function. I hope so. The friend function, you can have an idea of what is a friend functions, and we'll see that still more features in the next slide. Here we have still more still more features. They do not get this this pointer. They do not get this pointers. A friend function cannot be called using an object of the class. A friend function cannot be called using the object of classes. It cannot access the member data directly. It has to be use an object like object dot member name. How it is going to be accessed? By the object like object dot member name. Object dot member name. Now let us see the syntax of a friend function. How we are going to declare the syntax. Here we have a syntax. Class. Class is a keyword. Class is a keyword followed by a class name. Followed by the class name. As usual, we are going to create a class. The friend function can be declared in any of the part of the class. I have declared in the syntax into the public. Public is an access specifier followed by the friend. Friend is a keyword. Friend is a keyword followed by a return type. Followed by a return type. Return type may be an integer or float or any other thing. Return type followed by the function name of a friend. The function name tells you the name of a friend function. As I told you that the function the friend function which is going to use the object as a parameter. How the parameter is being done in the sense by class name followed by the object name with a semicolon. French function will end with a semicolon. This is a syntax how we are going to declare the friend function. After seeing the syntax, let us see the example for a friend function in the next slide. Here we have a small example for a friend function. This is a program to find the mean value by using a friend function. Or I can also tell that I'm going to find a mid value of a given two numbers. Here we'll take it as a mean itself. I have created a class called as in base. I've created a class called as in base. In that I have a two data members data members which comes across the private, that is value 1 and value 2. These two data members belongs to a private, and I have created one member function called as a get function. Member function called as a get function. In that, I am going to create a get function as enter the two values, and I have accepted a value 1 and value 2. Now let us see how I'm going to declare the prototype of a friend function. As I told you in the syntax, the friend function should be declared by using a keyword called as a friend. Friend is a keyword followed by return type. Return type, when I have into mean value, it is a decimal value. It is nothing but a floating value. So I'm going to take it as return type as a float. Return type as a float. And I have given a name for a friend as a mean. Given a name called as a mean is a name of a friend, and I have passed the arguments or a parameter. How I'm going to pass? By using a class name called as a base, and I have created an object called as an object. This object will hold the value which is being passed from the friend function. This is how I'm going to create a prototype inside the class. Now we'll just check it out how I'm going to access the private data member like value 1 and value 2. Now let us start a main program. Let us start a main program, void main. Void main. I have created a normal object telling that base is a class name and object 1 is an object which created for a to access the member function of a class. Object 1 is used to access the member function of a class. We can directly access object 1 dot get. Object 1 dot get. Once I access, automatically the member function belongs to a base class is being accessed, telling that get function enter the two values. A two values is being entered. Two values is being entered. After the function has been called, secondly, I'm going to go for cout mean value is the mean value. I'm going to find a mean value, where I already told you that the friend function is being called as a normal function. Friend function is called like a normal function where I have been passing a where I'm passing a parameter. Parameter is nothing but an object which I have created in a class itself. Object which is being created in the friend function itself. Once a function has been called, it is going to once a function has been called, it is going to go for the class and check it out whether the mean is a friend function. Mean is a friend function. Yes, we have a mean as a friend function. So once you see it here, mean, whatever the mean which is being a friend function, I'm going to create the friend function outside the class followed by a float return type mean is a friend function name, base is a class name, and object which is going to hold the value of a return. Now I'm going to calculate the mean value, telling that return float object dot value 1. Already said you that the object which is being accessed by dot, dot operator, but object dot value 1 plus object dot value 2, object dot value 2 divided by 2. If suppose I have taken as object dot value 1 as a 10, which I've been passed the value as 10, and object dot value it's to be a 20. Now 10 plus 20 it's equals to 30. 30 divided by 2, the mean value which is being stored as 15 into the object, and it returns a value where we calculated and present the result here as the mean value is 15. A 15 has been printed into the output. This is how we are going to access the friend function, like a value 1 is a private data member and value 2 is a private data members. This is how we are going to access the outside the class of a private data members. This is a small example to illustrate the friend function. I hope so that you people understood the concept of friend function. Here we are going to see one more important topic called as an inline function. What is that inline function? Inline functions are a C++ enhancement. We can also tell that it is an enhancement of C++ features to increase the execution time of a program. What is going to happen here in the sense? The compiler replaces the definition of inline function at compile time. When it is going to replace the definition of an inline function at a compile time instead of function definition at the runtime. Instead of compile time, it is going to go ahead with runtime. Clearly, I tell you that the compiler replaces the definition of inline function at compiling time instead of referencing function definition at the runtime. If function is big, if suppose the function is big, then compiler can ignore the inline function request and treats the function as a normal function. Inline function is a small function with no calling overhead. A copy of the function statement is placed directly into compiled calling program. What is that? The copy of the function statement, the copy of a function statement is placed directly into the compiled calling program, The line inline function appears prior to the main program which calls it. The inline function should be appears priorly to the main which calls it. Any inline function must precede any function that calls it if which eliminates the needs for prototype in a calling function. In any inline function must be precede any function that calls it, which eliminates the need for a prototype in the calling function. The clear definition of inline function is inline function is a type of function where call is replaced by function code. Call is replaced by a function code. The major features of inline functions are inline function definition starts with the keyword called as an inline. I-N-L-I-N-E is a keyword for the inline function. The inline function should be defined before all the function that is called it. Before calling itself, inline function should be defined. The compiler replaces the function call with a function code. What the compiler does? The compiler replaces the function call with the function code. They return little faster than the normal program. The normal program will take little time, but in a inline function, it is little faster than the normal function. Let us see how the inline function syntax is. Here we have a syntax for the inline. How we are going to write a inline function? In a sense, first, we are going to give a keyword called as an inline. Inline is a keyword. Inline is a keyword followed by a return type, followed by the return type, example float or int, etc. And we have a function name. Function name is a name given for the inline function. The function which is already been, you people already know that the function which is going to have open and close bracket. And you can also pass a parameters. And once I want to create a function codes, first I want to open the open brace and the function codes After following all the function codes, it is being closed by a closed brace. This is how you are going to create a syntax for the inline function. Let us see an example for a inline function in the next slide. Here we have a small example to demonstrate an inline function. This is a program how to find a square of given number. In this program, we are going to find a square for two numbers using a inline function. Let us see that how we are going to implement a inline function in this program. Here, I have created an inline function by using a keyword called as an inline, followed by a return type and a inline function name. My inline function name is square. In this function, I am going to pass a parameter int a. Before starting this calculation, let us see into the main program. I'm going to start my main program called as a void main. Void main. I already told you that this is a program where we are going to find a two numbers squares. For the two numbers, I'm going to initialize a two variables called as an x as well as a y. I'm going to accept two numbers, that is x and y. Once we go ahead here into the next line, x is equals to the first variable, x is equals to, once a function is called, function square is called, it is going to call the function in the inline. Once an inline has been called, a copy of a function statement, the complete copy of a function statement is placed directly into the compiled calling program. Now once it has been copied into the calling program, it is going to process that a into a. It is going to process that a into a. The a value, that is int a value, which is being passed a value of 5. Now 5 is being passed to the parameter called as an a. Once a 5 is copied into a, now it is going to calculate a into a, that is 5 into 5. It is calculated, and the 5 into 5, the value of 5 into 5 is going to be calculated and is being passed to the variable called as an x. Now the x value is 5 into 5, that is 25. Once it has been calculated, it returns back, and next it is going to print that see out the square of 5 is 25. Square of 5 is 25. Now we have been found the first number square. Now again I'm going to call one more time the function called as a square. Once a function has been called, again what is going to happen in sense, a copy of function statement is being placed directly, it is being placed directly into the calling program. Once a calling has been called, the complete a copy is being present here. Again it is going to pass the value of 10 is being passed to the a. Value of 10 is being passed to the a. It is going to calculate return 10 into 10. Now it is being calculated 10 into 10. Now it has been calculated 10 into 10. The y value becomes as 100. Y value becomes as 100. See how the square of 10 is 100. It is going to print you as output as the square of 10 is 100 is being printed. This is how the inline function is being processing. Here you needed to clearly observe the complete body of inline that has been copied into the calling function. So once you go ahead here, we require a more memory. This is how the program has been working for a inline function. Here we will see what are the advantages of inline function. The first advantage is very efficient code can be generated. Size of object code is reduced. Speed of execution of a program increases. Reliability of a program increases. These are the different advantages once you use an inline functions. And also we have a different disadvantages of inline function. Size of executable file increases. File of executable file is increases. More memory is needed. Once you use an inline function, may not work into a if loop statement structures are used. If you use a if looping state structures cannot be used using a inline functions. These are the different disadvantages of inline functions. We will come again. What are the advantages? It is very efficient code can be generated. Size of a code is reduced. A speed of execution of a program increases. Reliability of a program increases. These are the advantages. Now we'll come again for the disadvantage. Size of executable file is increase. More memory is needed. Inline functions may not work using a looping structures. These are the different disadvantages which you have it onto inline functions. Today we have discussed two important topics, that is a friend function as well as an inline function are the two important topics which we covered today's sessions, and we'll see that what are the assignments into the next slide. Today's assignment is explain inline function with syntax and example. Second question, explain friend function with syntax and example. Third question, what are the characteristics of friend function? These are the three questions for the assignments. I hope that today's topic is well understood by you. We'll see you into the next session. Thank you.